Alabama runoff really a referendum somehow on President Trump. Can President Trump get Luther Strange across the finish line? Let's ask Lisa Boothe, columnist with the Washington Examiner. She's in Washington. And from New York, Juan Williams, columnist with The Hill, co-host of The Five, which, by the way, Monday goes back to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. This slot. Lisa, what do you think? It's really interesting to hear the HUD secretary Ben Carson put out a statement essentially in support of Roy Moore. But this is an interesting split.
Yeah, no, that's certainly a curveball, which, we don't typically see. But, Brett, how many times have we been here before and a Republican primary being labeled as, a fight for the heart and soul of the Republican Party, anti-establishment versus establishment? I can go back to 2012 when I was working for a Republican congresswoman, an incumbent versus incumbent, where we received Sarah Palin's endorsement, similar dynamics. So
right, but President Trump has never been the establishment.
Well, no, but you also have ABC News, who has labeled this Trump versus Trump land, where you essentially have some of the individuals that endorse President Trump versus the candidate that President Trump endorsed. And you have to remember, Brett, too, whoever wins this runoff primary is ultimately going to go on to become the senator of this state. This is a state that President Trump won handily in the Republican primary, a state that he won handily in the general election against Hillary Clinton. Richard Shelby, the senior senator from Alabama, won with over 60% of the vote in 2016. The last time that former Senator Jeff Sessions, now Attorney General, had a Democratic opponent, he won with over 60% of the vote. And Democrats are also defending 10 seats that President Trump in states that President Trump won, so they're not going to want to use and put resources into a state like Alabama.
I know, but see, that's the question, Lisa. There's some $20 million possibly being spent on this Senate primary. Why, if it's just going to be a Republican? What's the big deal?
Well, because I think you have. Obviously, we've seen the dynamics at play where Luther Strange is the incumbent. Typically, a party defends the sitting incumbent. He, as we know, was nominated by then Governor Bentley to fill that vacated seat by Jeff Sessions when he went on to become the Attorney General. Parties typically defend the incumbent. So I think that's what we're seeing from the NRSC. That's what we're seeing from President Trump as well. Those are the dynamics we typically see in a president where they defend their own.
Well, and here's what I'm hearing from Capitol Hill is that Luther Strange is on the Senate Budget Committee. They need to pass a budget. That's going to happen December 8th. It's just a matter of making sure that he gets that budget through, and that the fact that this has turned into a huge battle is not something they planned for.
They really did not, and I think it has really come as a surprise to them that, in fact, Roy Moore has this kind of political clout. Most people, even in the state, did not think Roy Moore was going to be such a dominant force come this, this runoff. There was, remember, there was a Republican congressman running against both Strange and Moore. He got enough votes that he now has gone in with Moore, and he was, condemning Moore earlier. I think in reference to the budget and to the control, you have to understand, Brett, most people still think Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party. And as such, when you're talking about control through Mitch McConnell in the Senate, he has got to try to exert some kind of influence, not only in terms of the budget that you were describing, but just in terms of saying, I've got my members back. I'm with them, they're with me. And in this case, you've got Luther Strange, who has said he is a Trump supporter. It's not as if he is anti-Trump.
Yeah, and quickly, Lisa, I mean, the reason the budget's so important is because they have to have a budget before they go to tax reform. And that's why they need that vote on the Budget Committee, and that's why they need Luther Strange.
Well, it is important. I do think they see Luther Strange as a more reliable vote for them, but he's also the incumbent. Huntsville, Alabama, where the president's going to be tonight, is important. That's a place where Roy Moore has been polling the strongest. So I think that's why we see the president there tonight. And also Mo Brooks, who is the representative of that district, has endorsed Moore, which is why Huntsville is important for President Trump tonight and Luther Strange.
Okay, Lisa, Juan, thank you very much.